Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Dear students, I welcome you on the module of vaccine preventable diseases included in EPI. So today we will start with DPT, that is diphtheria, pertussis and tetanus. Dr. Asma Ali has updated her lecture, uploaded her lecture on tuberculosis. It is a very important and hot favorite topics of your examiners as well. I recommend you that you should all go through the lecture very well and prepare its all aspects. Now let's start with diphtheria, pertussis and tetanus lecture. Now first we will discuss diphtheria. Bull neck's appearance of diphtheritic cervical lymphadenopathy is shown in this picture. See the bull's neck. This is lymphadenopathy due to diphtheria, cervical lymphadenopathy. Now diphtheria, Corynebacterium diphtherios is a Greek word for leather. Why the word leather is used for it, we will discuss it in forthcoming slide. It's an acute toxic infection caused by Corynebacterium diphtheri and rarely toxigenic strains of Corynebacterium ulcerans. They are anaerobic, non-encapsulated, non-spore forming, mostly non-motile, pleomorphic, gram-positive bacilli. There are 4 types of Corynebacterium diphtheri. They are Mitis, Intermedius, Gravis and Belfantis. Now they are differentiated by a colonial morphology, their hemolysis reaction and fermentation reactions. Now diphtheritic toxin is produced, it occurs only after acquisition of lysogenic Corynebacterium corynebacteriophage by either C. diphtheri or C. ulcerans. C refers to Corynebacterium, which encodes the diphtheritic toxin gene and confers diphtheria producing potential on these strains. Basically, these all strains produce the diphtheritic toxin, which is the main reason of the lethal infection. That toxin is only produced once that organism diphtheria is itself is infected by lysogenic Corynebacterium bacteriophage. That bacteriophage contains the genes which makes them start producing that diphtheritic toxin. Now demonstration of diphtheritic toxin production or potential for toxin production by an isolate is necessary to confirm disease. The former is done in vitro using the agar immunoprecipitant technique, ELK test, or in vivo with the toxin neutralization test in guinea pigs, the later by polymerase chain reaction testing for carriage of toxin gene. Now toxin is lethal in human beings in the amount of 130 microgram per kg body weight. Now it's epidemiology, ये हमने पहले इसके एजेंट फैक्टर्स डिस्कस कर लिए. नाउ ट्रांसमिशन एयरबॉर्न रेस्पिरेटरी ड्रॉपलेट्स, डायरेक्ट कॉन्टैक्ट विद रेस्पिरेटरी secretions of symptomatic individuals or exudates from infected skin lesions. Now asymptomatic respiratory tract carriage is important in transmission. So main source of transmission is droplets or droplet nuclei. So the prevention, if you are asked about the prevention, then all the measures that are being taken for coronavirus, they can be reproduced with context of diphtheria as well. Now asymptomatic respiratory carriage is an important transmission factor where diphtheria is endemic. 3 to 5% of the healthy individuals can carry toxigenic organisms. Now skin infection and skin carriage are silent reservoirs, and organisms can remain viable in dust or on fomites for up to 6 months. The transmission through contaminated milk and an infected food handler has been demonstrated. Now host factors include children aged 1 to 5 years are commonly infected. A herd immunity of 70% is required to prevent epidemics. Contaminated objects like thermometers, cups, spoons, toys and pencils can spread the disease. Overcrowding, poor sanitation and hygiene, illiteracy, urban migration and close contacts can lead to the outbreak. Now pathogenesis, entry into nose or mouth. The organism remains in superficial layers of skin lesions or respiratory tract mucosa inducing local inflammatory reaction. The major virulence of the organism lies in its ability to produce potent exotoxin, which inhibits protein synthesis and cause local tissue necrosis. Within the first few days of respiratory tract infection, a dense necrotic coagulum of organisms, epithelial cells, fibrin, leukocytes, and erythrocytes forms, advances, and becomes a grey-brown leather-like adherent pseudomembrane. Removal is difficult and reveals bleeding edematous submucosa. Local effect of diphtheritic toxin, paralysis of the palate and hypopharynx, pneumonia, systematic effects, toxins absorption, kidney tubular necrosis, hypoglycemia, myocarditis, and demyelination of nerves. Myocarditis occurs 10 to 14 days and demyelination in 3 to 7 weeks. Now, influence of the anatomic site of infection, the immune status of the host, and the production and the systematic distribution of toxin. These are all important factors and they decide the clinical manifestation. Incubation period is 1 to 6 days. Classification, it can be nasal diphtheria, pharyngeal diphtheria, tonsillar diphtheria, laryngeal or laryngeotracheal diphtheria, and other than that, skin, eyes or genitalia can also be involved. Now what happens that when toxin gets into the mucosa, an inflammatory reaction occurs and coagulum is formed over there, which acquire the shape of a layer. So the name was the leather was coined for this type of infection. That layer has been basically termed as leather, and thus the name was diphtheria, originated from diphtheros. Now, nasal diphtheria, infection of the interior nares, more common among infants, causes seroanguinous purulent erosive rhinitis with membrane formation. Shallow ulceration of external nares and upper lip is characteristic. Unilateral nasal discharge is quite pathognomic of nasal diphtheria. Acute diagnosis of nasal diphtheria delayed, paucity of systemic signs and symptoms. Now, tonsillar and pharyngeal diphtheria, sore throat is a universal early symptoms. Only half of the patients have fever and fewer have dysphagia, hoarseness, malaise and headache. Mild pharyngeal injection, unilateral or bilateral tonsil membrane formation occurs, extend to involve uvula, soft palate, posterior oropharynx, hypopharynx or glottic area. Underlying soft tissue edema and enlarged lymph nodes gives bull's neck appearance. Now, diphtheria, notice the pseudomembrane in the posterior pharynx. It can become very large and may obstruct the airway. In laryngeal diphtheria, a significant risk of suffocation because of soft tissue edema and airway obstruction by diphtheritic membrane. Classic cutaneous diphtheria is an indolent, non-progressive infection characterized by superficial actinic non-healing ulcer with grey-brown membrane. Infection at other sites, ear otitis externa, the eye, purulent and ulcerative conjunctivitis, the genital purulent ulcerative vulvovaginitis, and sporadic cases of pyogenic arthritis. Now, diagnosis is basically clinical features and then culture from nose and throat or any other mucocutaneous lesion. A portion of membrane should be removed and submitted for culture along the underlying exudate. ELK test, rapid diagnosis within 16 to 24 hours. Then enzyme immunoassay, PCR for A or B portion of toxic gene tox. Hypoglycemia, glycosuria, BUN or abnormal ECG for liver, kidney and heart involvement. Differential diagnosis, common cold, congenital syphilis, snuffle, sinusitis, adenoiditis or foreign body, nose and streptococcal pharyngitis, infectious mononucleosis. Now, respiratory tract obstruction by pseudomembranes, bronchoscopic or intubation, mechanical ventilation, toxic cardiomyopathy in 10 to 25% of the patient, responsible for 50 to 60% of deaths. The risk of significant complication correlates directly with the extent and severity of exudative local oropharyngeal disease as well as delay in administration of antitoxins. Now, tachycardia out of proportion to fever, prolonged PR interval and changes in STT wave, elevation of serum aspartate aminotransferase concentration closely parallels the severity of myonecrosis. Now, toxic neuropathy acutely 2 to 3 weeks after hyposthesia and soft palate paralysis. Afterwards, weakness of the posterior pharyngeal, laryngeal, and facial nerves, a nasal quality in the voice, difficulty in swallowing, and the risk of aspiration. Cranial neuropathies, 5th week onwards, oculomotor, ciliary paralysis, strabismus, blurred vision, difficulty with accommodation. In symmetric polyneuropathy, 10 to days to 3 months में it develops motor deficits with diminished tendon reflexes. Monitoring for paralysis of diaphragm muscle. Recovery from the neuritis is often slow but usually complete. Corticosteroids are not recommended. Now, treatment is antitoxin, mainstay of therapy, neutralizes only free toxins. Efficacy diminishes with elapsed time. Antitoxin is administered as a single empirical dose of 20,000 to 1,20,000 units based on the degree of toxicity, site, size of membrane, and duration of illness. Antimicrobial therapy halt toxin production, treat localized infection, and prevent transmission of organisms through the contact. Erythromycin, crystalline penicillin G, or procaine penicillin can be given for 14 days. Now, elimination of organisms should be documented by negative results of at least 2 successive cultures of specimen from nose or throat and drained and obtained 24 hours apart after the completion of therapy. Prognosis depends upon the virulence of organisms, subspecies brevis, patient age, immunization status, site of infections, speed of administration of the antitoxin. Now, the case fatality is almost 10% for respiratory tract diphtheria. At recovery, administration of diphtheroid toxoid is indicated to complete primary series of or booster doses of immunization, because not all patients develop antibodies to diphtheritic toxin after infection. Now, asymptomatic case context, antimicrobial prophylaxis of erythromycin or a single injection of benzathine penicillin G can be given. Diphtheria toxoid vaccine to immunize individuals who have not received a booster dose within 5 years. Children who have not received their 4th dose should be vaccinated, and those who have received fewer than 3 doses of diphtheria toxoid or who have uncertain immunization status are immunized with an age appropriate preparation on a primary schedule. 1,000 to 2,000 units of antitoxin may also be given to unimmunized close contacts alongside antibodies. Now, asymptomatic carriers, same positive repeat cultures are performed about 2 weeks after the completion of therapy. If results are positive, an additional 10-day course of oral erythromycin should be given and follow-up cultures performed. Now, pertussis, the whooping cough or the cough of 100 days. Whooping cough, whooping sound made when gasping for air after a fit of coughing. That whoop is produced, that is why it is called whooping cough. A highly contagious acute bacterial infection caused by Bacilli bordetella pertussis. Currently, worldwide prevalence is diminished due to active immunization. However, it remains a public health problem among older children and adults. It continues to be an important respiratory disease afflicting unvaccinated infants and previously vaccinated children and adults. Now, epidemiology is transmission through the respiratory route in the form of droplet infection. Adolescents and adults are the reservoirs. No animal or insect reservoir is present. A highly communicable disease. Secondary attack rate is 80% among household contacts. In the catarrhal stage and 2 weeks after the onset of cough. Bordetella pertussis agent factors में aerobic gram-negative Coccobacilli produces toxins, namely pertussis toxin, flamenchus, heme agglutinin, hemolysin, adenylate cyclase toxin, dermonecrotic toxin, and tracheal cytotoxin, responsible for clinical features, toxin-mediated disease, and the immunity. Pathogenesis: the organism get attached to the respiratory cilia and toxin causes paralysis of cilia. Mucopurulent and seroanguinous exudate forms in respiratory tract. The exudate predisposes to atelectasis, cough, cyanosis, pneumonia. Organisms causes local tissue damage and systematic effects mediated through its toxin. Clinical manifestation: incubation period is 7 to 10 days. Infection lasts for 6 weeks to 10 days. Stage 1 catarrhal stage 1 to 2 weeks. Insidious onset of coryza, sneezing, low grade fever, and occasional cough. Stage 2 is paroxysmal cough stage 1 to 6 weeks due to difficulty in expelling the thick mucus from the trachobronchial tree. At the end of paroxysm, long inspiratory effort is followed by a whoop. In between, child looks well. During the episode of cough, the child may become cyanosed, followed by vomiting, exhaustion, and seizures. Cough increase for 2 to 3 weeks and decreases after 10 weeks. Absence of whoop or post-tussive vomiting does not rule out clinical diagnosis of pertussis. Paroxysmal cough greater than 2 weeks with or without whoop or post-tussive vomiting is the hallmark feature of pertussis. Stage 3 convalescent stage, period of gradual recovery, even up to 6 months. Now complications: secondary pneumonia 1 in 5 and apneic spells 50% neonates and infants less than 6 months of age. Neurological complications: seizures 1 in 100 and encephalopathy 1 in 300 due to toxin or diphtheria. Or cerebral hemorrhage, otitis media, anorexia, dehydration, rib fracture, pneumothorax, subjugal hematoma, hernia, and rectal prolapse. Now, differential prognosis is Bordetella, parapertussis, adenovirus, mycoplasma pneumonia, and chlamydia trachomatis. Foreign body aspiration, endobronchial tuberculosis, and a mass pressing on the airway. Suspected diagnosis is suspected on the basis of history and clinical examination, is confirmed by culture, genomics, or serology. Elevated WBC count with lymphocytosis, the absolute lymphocyte count is greater than 20,000, is highly suggestive. Cultured gold standard, especially in the catarrhal stage. A saline nasal swab or swab from the posterior pharynx is preferred, and the swab should be taken using Dacron or calcium alginate and has to be plated on the selective medium. However, culture are not recommended in clinical practice as the yield is poor because of previous vaccination, antibiotic use, and diluted specimen and faulty collection and transportation of specimen. PCR, most sensitive to diagnose, can be done even after antibiotic exposure, and it should always be used in addition with cultures. Now, direct fluorescent antibody testing, low sensitivity and variable specificity. Treatment: avoidance of irritant, smoke, noise, and other cough promoting factors. Antibiotics are effective only if started early in the course of illness. Erythromycin, azithromycin, clarithromycin can all be given. Supplemental oxygen, hydration, and cough mixtures and bronchodilators. Prevention: all household contacts should be given erythromycin for 2 weeks. Children less than 7 years of age not completed the primary 4 dose should complete the same at the earliest, and children less than 7 years of age completed primary vaccination but not received the booster in the last 3 years have to be given a single booster dose. And vaccine, we will discuss it after the end of tetanus. Now then we have tetanus. The lockjaw. Introduction: tetanus is an acute, fatal, severe exotoxin mediated nervous system disorder characterized by muscle spasms caused by toxin producing anaerobe Clostridium tetani. Tetanus is the only vaccine preventable disease that is infectious but not contagious from person to person. Clostridium tetani is the part of normal flora in the human and animal intestine, is disseminated through excreta. In spore form, they are hard and long standing in soil and dust. The contamination of wound, unhygienic, improper handling of the umbilical cord in newborn, and lack of hygiene habits and aseptic care during and after delivery are the main risk factors for infection. Septic care, not aseptic care, this is written wrong. Pathogenesis: tetanus occurs when spores of Clostridium tetani are found in soil, gain access to damaged human tissue. After inoculation, Clostridium tetani transforms into vegetative rod-shaped bacterium and produces the metalloprotease tetanoplasmin. After reaching the spinal cord, brainstem via retrograde axonal transport and binding tightly and irreversibly to receptors, tetanus Toxin blocks neurotransmission. Net effect is disinhibition of anterior horn cells and autonomic nervous system, resulting in increased muscle tone, painful spasm, and widespread autonomic instability. Predisposing factors: a penetrating injury, inoculation of Clostridium tetani spores, co-infection with other bacteria, devitalized tissue, a foreign body, localized ischemia. Therefore, tetanus develop in these clinical settings. Neonates, obstetric patients, post-surgical patients, patients with dental infection, diabetic patients with infected extremity ulcers, and patients who inject illicit or contaminated drugs. Clinical manifestation are incubation period 1 to 8 days. Generalized tetanus presenting features is trismus. Symptoms of autonomic overactivity such as irritability, restlessness, sweating, tachycardia, cardiac arrhythmias, labile hypertension or fever. Tonic contractions of skeletal muscles, stiff neck, opisthotonus, rhizus sardonicus, board-like rigid abdomen, and intermittent intense muscular spasm with no impairment of consciousness. Painful spasms triggered by loud noises and other sensory stimuli such as physical contact or light. Now, period of apnea or upper airway obstruction due to contraction of thoracic muscles or glottal or pharyngeal muscles. Neonatal tetanus manifested by rigidity, spasms, trismus, inability to suck, and seizures. Diagnosis is mainly clinical. Treatment: best in ICU as child may need early aggressive airway management. The goal of treatment include halting toxin production, wound debridement, antimicrobial therapy, metronidazole, penicillin G for 7 to 10 days, neutralization of unbound toxin, that is 3000 6000 unit. Now, control of muscles, avoidance of sensory stimuli, diazepam as sedatives, and magnesium sulfate, beta blocker, morphine sulfate for autonomic dysfunction, and airway management and other supportive measures. Mainstay as bound tetanus toxin cannot be displayed from the nervous system. Endotracheal intubation, tracheostomy, nutritional support, physical therapy as soon as spasms have released. And immunization and proper treatment of wound and traumatic injuries. Prognosis: the average mortality of tetanus is 45 to 55%. Neonatal tetanus is 60 to 70%. Most important influencing factor in outcome is supportive care. Now, vaccine DPT और अब तो pentavalent की फॉर्म में 3 primary doses starting at 6 weeks, 1 boosted at 16 to 18 months, second boosted at 5 years of age. At 10 years, Tdap, TD followed by TD every 10 years, catch-up vaccination, and below 7 years DPT at 0, 1 and 6 months. That is it.